Welcome to this ISE 2023 panel discussion. Today we are on the topic of is the issue of interoperability getting better or worse? First question to you. I mean, do you think that's getting better or worse?
I think it is making good progress. I don't think it's the finished article yet, but it's definitely making much more progress than it has in the past. Yeah, it's not a closed loop yet. From an engineering and a technology perspective, each of the manufacturers and the platform providers think they are getting closer, but from a usage and adoption and an in-room experience, I think there's still some small way to go to get it finished.
A small way, a couple of years, 5 years? What kind of period do you realistically think?
If I look at the changes that have happened in interoperability over the last 5 to 10 years, we are 20 years ahead of where we were 5 to 10 years ago. But I still think that the simplicity of going into any enabled collaboration space and connect to what I want to connect to has still got a little bit to go.
Sure. Simon, is interoperability a big issue in your world and it causes you lots of problems? And is it getting better or worse?
It's absolutely getting better. And that's driven out of there's so much more option, depending on what your workflow is and what your users are used to using. And that's built from interoperability is in bring your own meeting, doing interoperability on the actual device itself, or of course, let's do it best in the cloud. Yeah. And depending on where we can solve those issues is where we can actually use the right workflow to meet what the organisation's needs. So, we are actually at a really good position now where most endpoints are coming out with, a BYOM solution, so you can actually plug your laptop in. And especially whether you're on, manufacturer A or B, you've got that direct guest join feature to be able to get in, which is kind of standardised the industry across those manufacturers as well. And obviously in the cloud, we all know the main manufacturers there in the cloud that are actually getting together now and talking well together for a change. Yeah. And it's probably since September, I would say that. Yeah. It's actually getting better.
Because we always find interoperability an interesting issue when you talk about integrators. For me, system integrators are there to kind of solve problems, and one of those is getting box A to talk to box B. But I guess the issue really is, that'll always continue because that's where your skill set is, but actually you do need a bit of help from the manufacturers to kind of along the way.
Absolutely. I mean, it'd be great to be in a position where, everyone would be standards-based and everyone would talk to everybody, but, we all know that that's not the case. So, we are, like I said, in a position now where whether you're looking at interoperability from Zoom are now opening up their doors. Yeah. There was a big announcement at Zootopia where it was a CRC Lite, for example, which means you've got SIP dialing natively into Zoom, right? That's huge. That's really going to open up the world. And then obviously the biggest announcement was Cisco and Microsoft getting together for interoperability, on the MTR. I mean, that was the biggest positive disruption the market needed, right? We really needed something like that. And that's then kicked off the disruption positively into other innovations that's now come from, the likes of Pexip and the guys out there and some of the innovation those guys have got, interoperability into Google, into Teams, into, any standards-based system. So, it's the last 6 months is really exciting.
Yeah. Andy, you're in that kind of, you work TD Synnex Maverick, you're in that kind of middle ground, I guess. You have to kind of deal with lots of manufacturers. When you have discussions with them, are they aware of interoperability as a kind of an issue for essentially their customers, integrators? Do you get the impression they are kind of talking to each other more than they ever were before?
A lot more than they were before, yeah. And I completely concur with what Simon said about the significant announcement between Cisco and Microsoft and the Teams availability on the Cisco devices. The reality in the real world is that multi-platforms exist in most client bases, and the vendors are not blind to see that they need to have that level of recognition that they need some interoperability to make their platform stand out above other platforms, while still kind of nodding the hat to them saying, we know they're there and we need to connect with them as well.
Simon, when you have a discussion with, let's call them mega brand A, do they still expect you to kind of buy everything for them when the portfolio is big enough? Or are they realistic enough to know that there will be bits of that chain that you will go to elsewhere?
I mean, in terms of manufacturers, as Andy said, it's, most clients out there now do have multiple manufacturers in there, and that's there to stay. they're not going to consolidate just down to one manufacturer. I think the industry stats are 85% of companies have 2 or more meeting platforms, and that's there to stay. So yeah, from what we see, they're looking for vendors like ourselves who can have the whole portfolio, understand the whole portfolio well, and be experts across that, and then really understand how we can get them talking together and understanding how the user base works and the best way to do that. Sometimes there are migrations, we're going from A to B. How can we see that as a transition for 36 months and do interoperability just as a fix to get to one point? Or it's A and B are going to live here forever. Let's get them working together.
Yeah.
So.
Andy, I was on your stand earlier, and it's interesting to see so many brands kind of next to each other, really. But also, I've seen it as a trend across this show and other shows, really, that you go on to. I went to see Bose earlier on. They had a Sennheiser logo on their stand, and that's another audio brand. That used to be kind of unheard of. But they're saying, well, we do the video bars, they do the Team Connect ceiling mics. It's not actually competing yet, Are those partnerships key to kind of boosting interoperability thing? Because brands seem more open to that than I think ever before, really.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, you'll see if you've done our stand walk, the business outcomes that we can generate through kind of multi-vendor platforms are unrivaled these days. It's not. I'm sure all manufacturers would like a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would, but I think they actually realise that is not possible, and that's not going to be able to happen. And yes, they've embraced open connectivity, open standards connectivity with them. We've embraced it, and I know that the integration market has embraced it as well.
Andy, Simon, many thanks for your time. It's great to get your knowledge on this. There's another panel on this exact topic coming up soon as well, so make sure you watch that one as well as this one. And many thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.